Hello, I'm Robin Vincent and welcome to another Surface session. So, what's the plan? Well, here's the Surface book. What I'm going to attempt to do is to show a couple of bits of software running, Pro Tools and Cubase, and just give an example of how they run on an untweaked, out-of-the-box Surface book. And then what I'm going to do is go away and tweak the Surface book, get it running to its absolute optimum as far as I can see, and then see how Cubase and Pro Tools run after that. It's not going to be a massively deep test or anything. I'm just going to run something and show it working, show it not working. And at all times, it's kind of going to be a work in progress. Because, unfortunately, there's not sort of a magic switch that we can pull, which is just going to make everything perfect. There's always going to be some struggles going on because of the sort of device that the Surface Book is. It's not a desktop. For music production, we really need desktop computers where the CPU is completely steady at a fixed speed and completely stable. On this sort of laptop, any sort of laptop like this, any mobile device, the CPU is designed to be clocked down as soon as humanly possible, and that fights against us when we're trying to make music. But there should be enough power in here, even with the upping and downing of the CPU, for us to do some music production, to do some live performance, and to get some stuff done, which is ultimately why we're here. If you're looking for the actual list of tweaks I'm going to be doing, then I'll be doing a whole nother video on that. So you'll find it in the YouTube channel shortly after this one has been published. Well, hopefully. So let's run Pro Tools then. Now you might recall that I did a test with Pro Tools on the Surface Pro 4 very recently, which seemed to work very, very well. And the arrival of the Surface Book has kind of interrupted the process I was going through with that. So with a bit of luck, we're going to have great success with the Surface Book as well. But probably not at this stage, because I haven't done any of the tweaks. I haven't removed all the things in the background that might be doing terrible things to the system. However, once we've got sort of past this stage, once we've got beyond tweaking and into proper testing, then we can continue down the road with Pro Tools on both the Surface Book and the Surface Pro 4 and hopefully see some great results. Hopefully. Now, before we get into the Pro Tools test specifically, I just wanted to demonstrate something. Chloe from Microsoft asked me about scaling and what issues I was seeing with that, and I wanted to demonstrate that, and Pro Tools demonstrates it beautifully. So I'm just going to create a nice fresh project, but as you can see with Pro Tools, everything is good. You know, the menus are good, the size of everything is good, it's fine, it's scaled beautifully. Let me just show you that by bringing it in. So as you can see, the menus are correct, all saying what it should do, the text is correct. You don't know what I'm talking about at the moment because it all looks fine. In which case, what's the problem? Well, the problem is, let me show you, when you use any of the synths that come with Pro Tools, all the Air stuff and Xpand too, or whatever it is with the exclamation mark on the end, it does some crazy stuff. So let's insert multi-channel plugin, instrument. Let's go down to Xpand 2. Now, I'm going to get the camera. So la-di-da, everything is fine. I'm just going to select Xpand as my instrument. And look what happens. Well, Pro Tools instantly jumps to the top left-hand corner. And strangely, it's still maximized. Oh, there we go. And I clicked on it, something weird happened. Xpand has just turned up. It's GUI, and as you see, it's all corrupted and messed about. You can see now that the menu at the top has all disappeared. The text is not quite right. I can still get to the text, but I can't actually read what the menu bits are. And everything within it is gone all tiny and stupid, as if it's gone back to its native resolution rather than scaling up as it should. Now if I go to the display settings, see it's set to 200%. If I run it back to 100%, so run it back to the resolution that it's supposed to be at, Pro Tools has gone even smaller, which is just kind of bonkers really. So bring this back up to 200%. And Pro Tools hasn't recovered, it's still at its tininess. So, you know, that's just an example of some of the scaling problems that we get when using the Surface because of its high definition screen, because of the resolution. Pro Tools, or at least Pro Tools copes with it's all right. It's not Pro Tools' fault, funnily enough. You can run plenty of other synths and it doesn't do this. It's purely the included instruments that come with Pro Tools 12. Now, it must be possible to fix because lots of other third-party plugins run fine. So it's something that Air, who are now not owned by Pro Tools and now by somebody else, that doesn't sound very likely, does it? Well, somebody's got to get in there and sort that out. Right, so back to my test then. So it's just Pro Tools. I'm just going to load up a Reaktor plugin, run some MIDI through it, get some audio out, and just see if it's a, you know, we get some stable playback. Reaktor. There she blows, and you notice there's no scaling issue or anything going on there. It's just exactly as it should be. Let's whack that in there. Let's enable the track for recording. Oh, did you hear that? So I've just got some MIDI coming in from my base station keyboard, which is just out of shot over here. And we're just trying to check to see whether we can hear any clicks or pops in the audio playback as I move stuff about. Did you hear that click? It's just a little click in the playback. Okay, so like an idiot, I decided, oh, I know, I'll just drop a little delay in. So I chose a little delay, and of course it's one of the Air ones and it's all completely screwed up now. It's taken Reaktor with it as well. Did you hear that? Did you hear that click in the background? Yeah, it's actually doing all right. It's not doing too bad at all. We are getting the odd click in the audio playback, which is something we want to iron out. We want to remove that completely if we can. I mean, what I can do is I can shift this across to the Surface Pro 4 to see whether it has the same sort of behavior. Okay, well, the first thing to notice is that the system usage is higher because this is an i5, this is an i7, and on here it's already up to about 30%, whereas on here it was about 15%. And in Reaktor itself, it has its own DSP meter, which is running here at about sort of 15 to 20, whereas it was running 10 to 15 on here. So those are, you know, some good immediate differences. And then what we shouldn't get, hopefully, is any kind of clicking going on over here with the Surface Pro 4. DSP meter is now up to about 20% in Reaktor. And that's all looking pretty good. So hopefully, kind of what I'm trying to show is that on the Surface Book it's playing all right, but there are a little bit of some clicking and popping going on just occasionally when just using a single synth. On the Surface Pro 4, that doesn't seem to occur, which is great. That's what we're after. So it looks like there's a little bit of work to do on the Surface Book in order to get it to its optimum. I mean, we knew that already. I'm just trying to demonstrate it as best I can, so that hopefully when we come back to the Surface Book after I've done the tweaking, it's becoming this kind of mystical, dark art of tweaking that I keep talking about, that's somehow going to render this awful computer into something magnificent. I don't know really if it's like that, but suffice to say, there's stuff going on in a laptop that you get off the shelf which is not helping, you know, and there's things you can do to make the computer more focused on what it's doing rather than trying to do everything. It gets a bit more focused on doing music software and stuff. That's the plan. That's what I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try a test in Cubase. And you can see here the real-time peak is really sort of jumping around. Oh, See, there was a click, it jumped to 100%, and we got a click just like that. Oh, and again. There was a big one. That's no good. Oh, and again. Sorry, I get carried away. Reaktor blocks, which is what I'm using here, is just fascinating to play with. And it's also really good with the fingers and with the pen. You know, rather than, okay, I can grab it with my mouse and I can do that kind of thing, but it's much more interesting to do this. Because you just feel more into it, just feel more involved. Oh, see, there's another thing. So we can hear there's quite a lot of clicking and popping going on that hopefully we can resolve a bit of. Right, let's pop over to the Surface Pro 4 and see if the same thing happens. And just while that's loading up, I do have to confess that the Surface Pro 4 screen is feeling a little small. Since using this beauty here, this is feeling perhaps a little bit petite, a little bit bijou. You know, it's still good. I still love it. Of course I do, because this is my one. This is the original. This is the fella. But yeah, I'm liking the slightly larger screen. I'm quite drawn to that, I have to say. Now, just difference on the DSP again. This is up to 26, going towards 30, whereas on here it was around 18, 19, 20. So we're going to keep an eye on that just to see how much extra leg room you get with the i7 compared to the i5. I don't know if you recall, but when I played with those coarse pitch knobs here on the Surface Book, the real-time meter just went whang straight up to the top. It doesn't seem to be the case. Let's see if I can find the same patch. That's awesome. Awesome. Right, make it stop. Thank you. So running it on the Surface Pro 4, evidently there's no glitching, there's no popping, there's no trouble at all, whereas on the Surface Book there was a lot of that. So what do we do? What do we do, Robin? What are we going to do? What can we possibly do? We have another drink. It's what we can do. Tweaking is always done best with alcohol. It's just a rule of thumb. You know, it's not a universal law or anything. It's just one of my little rules of thumb. So the plan is now to do the tweak. We have to get in there. We have to move beyond this. We have to actually get into making music and stuff on the Surface Book. We have to get to that point, and this is where we are. I can't faff around anymore. I've just done nothing but faff. So let's get to it. Let's do the tweaks and see if there's any improvement, which will probably be tomorrow, because by the time I've tweaked this, I'm going to be knackered. And I will make a completely separate video on tweaking so that you can refer directly to that rather than trying to find it in the middle of another video. So in a moment, I'm going to click my fingers and it will be another day and the system will be tweaked and we'll give it a retest and see how it compares. Okay, see you then. Well, it's a brand new day. Here is the Surface Book that I tweaked last night in the hope that we can coax a good bit of performance out of it. I'm going to go that a little bit further and I'm going to turn off the Wi-Fi and stuff. So I'm going to hit flight mode over here to turn off the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth. And I've also put it on quiet hours. Although obviously I'm not going to get any notifications while it's no longer connected to the internet. You just don't know. I'm a belt and braces kind of guy. So I've put that on as well. So hopefully now the Surface Book is as ready as it's ever going to be to run a little bit of Pro Tools. So let's give it a go. Enable the track so the MIDI comes in. There she blows. That's been playing all night. My poor little base station has been playing that all night. Oh well, never mind, eh? Looking down here at the CPU usage, it seems to be about the same as it was pre-tweak yesterday. But what I'm hoping is that as I move controls, we're not going to hear the clicks and pops that we got yesterday. Well, so far so good. Let's try the larger patch here. Now, I didn't pre-plan this or pre-film it. I literally have not turned this system on since I tweaked it last night, and I've come in and I've run Pro Tools and run this, and to my ears, as far as I could work out, there were no clicks, there were no pops. So what does that mean? Well, it means that those tweaks that I did, something in there has enabled the system to cope with Pro Tools better than it was. Is it still extraordinary? I don't know yet. I mean, we're going to do a whole load more tests to see how it goes. But just for the moment, all I really wanted to do was to do something simple but challenging. And Reaktor is quite a challenging plugin. And I did that yesterday, and you know, there was a click and there was a pop and there was the odd crackle. Whereas today, coming back to it afresh after I've done my list of tweaks last night, it appears to be working better. And that's what we want. That looks like mission accomplished to me. That looks flipping awesome. So let's look at Cubase then. Did you hear that? Now, we got a glitch, but it's different. This is different. Cubase behaves differently to Pro Tools on the surface, it seems to be. It's not a matter of clicking and popping. It's not that kind of background crackle like we had on Pro Tools. This is when the real-time peak on the VST performance meter suddenly just wangs all the way up and causes a dropout. So there's kind of something else going on. Let's try the larger patch. So I think you can see there that Cubase appears to be completely stable. I mean, we had that initial glitch, but since then I've not had anything. And something else here, that this usually, or certainly yesterday when playing with it, you know, this was banging around all the time, and this light here, the sort of the peak light, would almost definitely always be on. Whereas now it's behaved much better. You know, it's still moving about, but it's coping with what's going on far better. Now the glitch that we saw, I believe, is still down to that ASIO guard setting. We go into devices, device setup. This activate ASIO guard thing right here. When I was testing my mega test on the Surface Pro 4, I hit this same problem with this alarming big glitch that just happens for no reason as far as we can see. And turning off ASIO guard seemed to cure it. So I imagine that that's still an issue. There's something going on with this ASIO guard thing, which is supposed to do the opposite. It's supposed to calm and smooth out changes in CPU performance. But I imagine if we take that off, there's also a setting here for audio priority, which I'm going to set to boost. I don't want to activate the Steinberg audio power scheme because that may be different to what I've set. And what I've set is what I want. I don't want the Steinberg one. It's probably well meant, but thanks, I'll just take care of it myself. Okay, so let's just run that again now that I've turned that off to see whether we get that same sort of performance or whether that's made any difference. But because we only got it the once, then, oh, I don't know, let's just run it again, see what happens, shall we? Slash that on. Oh, let's pick some different notes. Let's run this in. Let's choose a different thing to play with. Now you can see that we had a peak there, but that's because I changed the patch. That kind of thing happens a lot with that. So there, I mean, you know, obviously I can keep going all day, and will you get a glitch, will you not get a glitch? I don't think so. I think that's pretty sorted. Now, what level of stuff you can do, how many plugins you can run, all those sorts of questions I will get to, but not now. All I wanted to show was that after the tweaking that I did, the Surface Book is more capable of running music software than it was. And that's why Windows tweaking is still important. That's why making music on a PC has its issues, because without the ability or knowledge to tweak Windows in such a way to get the best out of it, your computer out of a box, your laptop that's just come out of a box, your Microsoft Surface out of a box, is going to struggle, you know. And Microsoft don't really understand that. They don't really see that or know what's going on with that. They just want you to run your email and your Skype and your games and all those bits and pieces that don't require the level of real-time audio performance, of real-time data input and output, coping with. I mean, just look at what Cubase is attempting to achieve. It is, first of all, it's running a clock which is running all sorts of different processor-intensive processes here in this interconnected system that is Reaktor, that's funneling data and signals and audio all about. And as you increase the intensity of the software, as you change knobs and parameters, it's having to recalculate and recalculate. And like when I bring the delay up here, it's then having to calculate what's going on back and keep that going, and it can't just release other data that it's got because it's got to delay it and so on. And all of that has got to be squirted out through your audio interface in pretty much real time. And it has to take control of all of the inputs I'm putting in, whether it's coming in from MIDI over USB or my fingers through the screen or through the keyboard, and all of that's going through the same USB port as the audio that's going back out through the audio interface. All has to work incredibly quickly, incredibly fast, without any drop in the data that's going through the machine. Not a single packet can be lost. It's not like sending a fax. It's not like email. It's not like anything else where it can stop for a moment, let things catch up, and then send stuff out again. It has to go in a constant stream, otherwise we get clicks and pops. So it then begs the question, are we asking too much of our hardware? No, because it's been working perfectly well since Windows 98, since before that. It can work. The technology is there. All we really want Intel and Microsoft to do is not screw it up. Is to provide processors which can process, and an operating system which can access the lowest levels of the programming and driver architecture to move our data in and out. I mean, I completely understand why there's all this other stuff going on, why you have a mass of stuff here, why Windows 10 has a load of things running in the background, because it makes your whole computing experience more efficient. And that's awesome. That's their job. That's what Microsoft are trying to do. But for us, if only there was a software button that you could flick that would turn all that crap off and just leave you with a streamlined, ready to go, you know, data sensitive operating system that just wants to run at its optimum. It doesn't want to do email, it doesn't want to browse the internet, it doesn't want to try to get ahead of you and serve you up with things before you know you need them. No, I want Windows to respond to what I'm doing without anything getting in the way, and to send that data out through an audio interface to my speakers so I can hear it. That's what I want it to do. The hardware can do it. The technology can do it. But, you know, because Intel and Microsoft aren't that aware, perhaps, of the sort of thing that we're trying to do, all sorts of tripwires get put in place. Not intentionally. They're just there. They smooth things out. They buffer things. They try to help and improve your life, which is awesome. But we just want unfettered access. That's what we want. Is that a lot to ask? Yeah, probably. So, to summarise then today's work. Yesterday I ran Reaktor in Cubase and in Pro Tools, and it gave me some glitches. It gave me some clicks and pops. Just mild ones, not massive ones, but enough there to make the music making experience just difficult. Then I went through a whole bunch of tweaks simple tweaks, nothing really that in depth. There was one registry edit, I think, just the one. And now we've come back to it today, and we did not see those clicks and pops in Pro Tools, and Cubase is behaving a lot better. And it's also highlighted perhaps that there's some other issue going on in Cubase. So the result of my tweaking seems to have been incredibly positive. I can't guarantee anything. You just have to see how it goes. But it appears to have helped, which is a great place to start from going forward. Right, so check out the video channel for the video of the tweaking so that you can do the same to your machine. You can also use it to tweak Windows 10 generally, because that's the same stuff. It's all in there. And now we're going to move on into the realm of putting more software on here, experimenting with music, seeing the sort of things that we can run, comparing it to the Surface Pro 4, doing plugin tests and reverb tests and that kind of thing, and ultimately music making, because that's what we're here for, and that's what I want to, more than anything, demonstrate that these are excellent platforms and form factors for music making, even if there seems to be some trouble sometimes with it. Okay, good. Got all that? Great! So while I go off and do that, in the meantime, you go and make some tunes.